Polska Kanivko Bliat, Kanivska Staroska, Ja Panuska Kakastalin Govoria Mikichuko, Ravana Polski Bliat, Machatom, Vyashkarana, Vuskapra, Rusko, Viergrad Bliat, Priotom, Di Zolince Bliat Kontrolevit Polshava. Kontrolovat Polsha. W. Arnold Harman. By mid-September 1914, the Russians were driving the Austro-Hungarian army deep into Galicia, threatening Krakow, and the Austro-Hungarian invasion of Serbia was floundering. The armies that the Russian commander, Grand Duke Nicholas, was assembling in Poland were still enlarging, including the arrival of the Krat troops from Siberia, freed by the Japanese declaration of war against Germany on the 23rd of August. The Staka, which is the Russian Supreme Headquarters, intended for the forces to be assembled south of Warsaw, 500,000 men, 2,400 guns, to march west to invade the German industrial area of Upper Silesia, which was almost undefended. On their eastern front, the Germans had only one army, the 8th Army, which was in East Prussia. It was already mauled by the two Russian armies at the Battle of Tannenberg and the First Battle of the Masurian Lakes. To support the reeling Austro-Hungarian the OHL, the Obstre-Hellistertung German Supreme Headquarters, formed a new German 9th Army in Silesia, to be commanded by Richard von Stubert, with Erich Ludendorff transferring from 8th Army as Chief of Staff. Ludendorff quickly evaluated the situation in Silesia and convinced the new commanders at the OHL, Erich von Falkenhayn, to strengthen the 9th Army as well as make Paul von Hindenburg commander of both German armies in the east. The 9th Army, with headquarters in Belarus, consisted of the 17th, the 20th and the 21st Guard Reserve, the Landswehr Corps, as well as the mixed Landswehr Division in Silesia and the Saxon 8th Cavalry. In early October, the army was reinforced by the 35th Reserve Division from East Prussia. Thus, Hindenburg at his disposal had 12 infantry and 1 cavalry division. On September the 17th, papers from a dead German officer disclosed to the Russians that the 4 German corps, which were to believe were in East Prussia, were now in Silesia. To face the threat from Silesia, the Russians withdrew men from East Prussia, and from the front facing the Austro-Hungarians, the geographical barrier that separated the bulk of the opposing armies was the Vistula River. The Russian corps marching north to fill the gap moved along the east banks of the Vistula, which protected their left flanks. The troop movement involved both the southwest front, commanded by Nikolai Lovodjik Ivanov, and the northwest front under Nikolai Roskev. Their movements were poorly coordinated, however. To guard the crossing from their 4th and 9th armies on the banks of the Vistula, the Russians deployed the 75th Reserve Division, which is the 4th Army, at Radom, as well as the group of General Deschelles, which consisting of the Guard Rifle Brigade, the 2nd Rifle Brigade, and the Reserve Division at Elepato Kilomantov. Both groups were screened by the cavalry divisions at Novikov. On the 28th of September, the German 9th Army began to meticulously plan advance towards the Vistula River. The German 20th Guard and the Austrians' 1st Corps marched in heavy rain towards the Sila group. Because German army wagons were too heavy for the woeful Polish roads, lay submerged in several feet of mud. They used light Polish carts hired along with their peasant drivers. As they advanced, they improved the roads and the bridges so that they could support heavy artillery and adjust the rails on the narrower European gauge. Explosives were cached on the road and railway bridges so that they can be destroyed if necessary. On the 3rd of October at Kilomanto, the 3rd and 7th Austrian Cavalry Divisions engaged the Russian Guard Cavalry Brigade, along with infantry from the 80th Reserve Division, and they drove them back. In response to the Austro-German threat, the Russian screen were ordered to fall back to Novikov. Cavalry obeyed, but General Delichy believed that they could hold his position. The next day, his group was destroyed by the much superior enemy. The Central Power captured 7,000 prisoners, and only a few Russians escaped. The Germans lost 571 men. Austro-Hungarian casualties were still not known. The Germans reached the Vistula River on the 9th of October. The few Russian bridgeheads on the west banks were invested. Their left flanks, August von Mackensen of the 22nd Corps, continued to march north until it was 19 kilometers from Warsaw. August von Mackensen. On their left flanks, August von Mackensen of the 22nd Corps continued to march north until they were 19 miles, which is about 12 miles away from Warsaw. Only small Russian pockets remained on the western bank. They were excellent targets for the German artillery. General Nikolai Ruzsky commanded that the Russian Northwest Front sent troops from Warsaw to attack the 22nd Army on the German left flanks. Orders found on the body of a Russian officer reveal that the 14 Russian divisions were concentrating against Mackensen's 5th Division. The Germans were also privy to Russian movements from their interception of wireless messages. Unlike the messages sent in the clear during the first weeks of the war, now there was a new Russian code, which by the end of September had been broken yet again by the German reserve officers. Professor Dunenberner. 3 Russian armies were concentrating against the German Ninth Army, relieving the pressure on the Austro-Hungarians in the south. The Germans were now impressed by this plan, which they attributed to the Grand Duke, to encircle the Ninth Army by the thrust from the north into their rear. To prevent this, the 5th Corps under Mackensen must be reinforced. The Germans wanted the Austro-Hungarians to provide troops to be hurried to the threatening flanks, but the Austro-Hungarians did not want to mingle their men with the Germans, so instead they agreed to take over the lines on the German right flank. The released Germans were now to be moved north, but arrived too late from the prompt. The released Germans were then moved north, but arrived too late for a prompt, devastating counterattack, while the Russians were still concentrating in their pockets around Warsaw. On the 18th of October, Mackensen withdrew to a defensive line 47 miles away west of Warsaw. The Austro-Hungarian First Army, which was now to take over the German right flank, was unable to defend the crossing over at the Vistula. The Germans claimed that they deliberately allowed the Russians to cross, then intending to engulf them. According to the Austro-Hungarians, they arrived too late to prevent the crossings. In any event, the Russians were able to bring enough men quickly over the river to force the Austro-Hungarians to retreat to a line of 37 miles to the west. According to Max Hoffman, the third-ranking member of the 9th Army staff, they pulled back without alerting the nearby German units. They escaped only because they were warned by the German telephone operators. In fact, the Austro-Hungarians did not properly inform their allies. In this operation, the Austrians lost about 40,000 men. On the 27th of October, the 9th Army was ordered to retreat back into Silesia. The explosive packages on the bridge and railways were demolished. By the 30th of October, the battle was basically over. The Germans calculated that until extensive repairs were finished, the furthest the Russians could advance was over the devastated countryside of the scorched earth policies in the south of Poland. So they would have some weeks to repair before the Russians could even advance and invade Silesia. But they had been forced back a bit on the Vistula River as well. They portrayed the withdrawal as a strategic maneuver, and they succeed in blocking an enemy advance into Germany for weeks. While their army was trying to win on the western front, the retreat filled the Russian army with confidence and its strength to deal with Germany. Now Russian troops were beating both Germans and Austro-Hungarians in the same day, but they dissipated their advantages in the indecisions about their next move and confusion of their administrative agreements. On the 1st of November, Colonel General Hindenburg was given command of all the German forces on the east, while Mackensen took over the 9th Army and Otto von Below led the 8th Army, and they returned to the offensive on the Battle of Lodz, where the Russians would subsequently lose, especially after they built back the bridge. And that is the Battle of the Vistula River. Wow. A lot of time to read, but it was good. And not a lot of Polish words. I was expecting more. Honestly, I didn't expect more. Polish words are kind of Russian in nature, but you have to say them with a Central European tone. So it's like German and Russian. It's a lot of like conjunction words where a lot of words will be placed together, but it's still Slavic, like Wojowski and Wojaska. and Otto. So it's really a Central European tongue, but with a Slavic dialect. So it was not too bad. Krakow was not too bad. Artano Kalamentov was not too bad as well. And Silesia, which is in basically in German Poland, was not too bad as well. It did take me a couple of tries, but I did do it. It's going to be called the Battle of the Vistula River, because the Vistula River kind of runs through Warsaw, but it's kind of the gateway to Warsaw at the same time. So it's a bit confusing, but it's basically the river that separates Warsaw from the countryside, or whatever city is there now, because back in 1914 it was countryside. But I don't know which city is next to Warsaw. Sorry, my Polish friends, but I don't know. That should be it, yeah. This is not part of the main series, so that's why I decided to do this one here quickly. And also, I got a lot of Urban Warfare Polish gameplay, so yeah, best to get rid of that quickly. Even though I have like a couple that have the modes in the Gant, which I will do a weapons thing on. And tomorrow I might do the Labelle and the Ruby and wrap the French weapons up. And I don't know, I will make one playlist for each country and then make a one-all playlist. So if you want to watch all the weapons, you can watch all the weapons in there. But if you want to watch specific weapons, you could go to the French, Japanese, the British, the Germans, or the Russians, which one you would prefer. The Russian weapons will not be too much. The Nagant revolver, the Mosin Nagant, the P90, well, not the P90, I think it's the something 90. It's basically their maximum machine gun. So I don't think that should be too hard to do, but at the same time, it's not really going to get a lot of kills, because the minute you get on a stationary machine gun, you're basically dead in Tannenberg. But I will try my best to do the, I don't think it's the P90, I know, but I think it's something like, the P stands for a name, of course, but I think it's the P something, I can't remember. And I think that's about it. I might do the hunting shotgun, because there is a double barrel shotgun that is from Russia. I can't remember its name, but there is a double barrel manufacturer in Russia. And I think that's about it. Yeah, the Women's Battalion of Death, and yeah, I think that's about it. I might do grenades maybe as a thing, and I might do the Shaka, but I think, yeah, that's basically it. The Russians will get the only melee weapons of the season, I believe, to be proper, to be a proper history. Clogwheel Club and the Nail Knife and all those are basically trench warfare tools that were basically made out of whatever. But the Shanka actually has some history, and the Shashanka, is actually Russian for basically long knife. So there's a lot of interesting history there. But the Battle of the Vistula River. If you made it this far, type in Polska dash Vidania, or dash Vidania Tuka dash Vidania Tosca Slovenia. Farewell to Slovenia. Slovakia. My bad. But kind of too late for that joke. So type in farewell to Slovakia if you reach the end of the video. And until tomorrow, which will be the 2 French weapons, I promise. I already got everything there. I'm just gonna double check them. I put a new chair in here because that rocking chair is pretty uncomfortable, so it kind of messed with the mojo. Plus I had to read the script like 3 times before I got it right. So yeah, that should be enough. Even though it says 20 minutes, I think 15 minutes at most this might be, but I don't want to go on Tannenberg, so I'm going to just end it here. Learn something, my dudes.